never dreamed that I could become an astronaut.
I'm talking to Kayla Barron, one-time resident of the International Space Station and now part of the Artemis crew, the team who are preparing to go back to the moon.
First time I looked out the window of our capsule, 16 sunrises and sunsets each day over a beautiful planet, really fundamentally feeling this interconnectedness. Everything each one of us does has an impact on the people, not just immediately around us, but on the entire planet. That inspired me to be really deliberate about what contribution am I going to make to leave a better, healthier, more connected, more cooperative planet.
What inspired you to become an astronaut?
They did decide from a pretty early age that I wanted to serve in the military, and ultimately found my way to the Naval Academy and to the Navy and to the submarine force in particular. And I met an astronaut at a Navy football game, and hearing her story just reminded me so much of my experience on the submarine. And all of a sudden it clicked in my head, wow, the International Space Station has a submarine in space. And I told her that, she said, it totally is, it's exactly the same. You have these really complex machines out in these extreme environments that are designed to keep human beings alive in a place we're not meant to be, really, which is deep under the surface of the ocean or in the vacuum of space. And not just keep us alive, but also allow us to accomplish a mission, do something as a team that's of value to others.
What do you think it might be like to live on the moon and then Mars?
Well, the moon is beautiful from the space station, first of all. And the sun is reflecting off of the sphere. It's not just, a crescent moon, a sliver in the sky. It felt like you could just reach out and grab it. And I think made me realize how incredible it is going to be to send human beings back. And there's incredible scientific questions we're going to be able to answer. We're planning to return to the moon, but this time to the lunar South Pole. So we'll be exploring a different area than we visited during the Apollo era. Answer some really fundamental questions, not only about the moon's formation and its geology, but about our entire solar system.
You are part of the Artemis team. The Artemis 3 crew is the one, I suppose, that everyone wants to be on, because I think that's the one where the people are going to stand on the moon. Are you in with a chance of being on Artemis 3?
Of course, everyone in our office dreams of the opportunity to be part of those crews. You wait and hope, but the really cool thing is, even if you're not in that seat on the flight, you get to support them and be a part of the team that makes that happen.
The Artemis 3 mission, they will put the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. I'm guessing that those two people will become as famous as Neil Armstrong. Put yourself in her shoes, even if it's not you. What would that represent for you, for humankind?
I think that moment will really represent how far we've come. We did amazing things in the Apollo era, but not everyone had the access to those opportunities. There have been women in the NASA astronaut office for a really long time doing really incredible things. So we'll be standing on those women's shoulders, the first woman to command a space shuttle, the first to do a spacewalk, the first to command the space station. And when we look around at the diversity of our office, it's really incredible, who we have around us. It will be this incredible, historic, iconic moment that I think young women and girls around the planet will look to as an example of the fact that you can do anything if you work hard and are supported by the systems, the communities around you to have an opportunity to achieve those goals.
You might have seen space food before. But what about space plants? If NASA wants its astronauts to stay out in space for longer, they'll need to be able to replenish their own food supply. This is nothing new. Astronauts have been growing crops in space for the past 40 years. But there's still an awful lot that scientists are trying to learn about space farming.
We have things like radiation that we have to deal with. We We also have issues with microgravity. Plants have learned how to detect gravity with their roots and gravity sensing organelles in the plants. And so they know how to use these cues. And without these cues, they have to readapt to this environment. So without gravity, the next cue that they use is light. So how to go up and down, how to orient themselves is based on light now because they don't have gravity. Water behaves very differently in microgravity. It has, a high surface tension, so it likes to cling. And when the water clings to the roots, it prevents the roots from breathing. And so the plants can experience things like drought stress.
They may just look green to you and me, but plants appear very different when viewed in the infrared and ultraviolet parts of the spectrum. And the scientists here are learning how their appearance changes under different types of stress.
Here in the plant processing area, we're giving the plants a stressor. So in this case, we're reducing its watering. Comes on station, we know it's difficult to water. And so we can identify through our imaging project using infrared, visible light, as well as fluorescence, that stress. We take all this data, and to make that association, we use machine learning. Then we can associate the wavelengths that are most indicative of that stress and include them in a camera that would monitor the plants on station.
And this is where the plants live when they get up there, the veggie unit.
This is how they grow stuff on the International Space Station.
Yep, it's a simple LED system as well as a bellows, so it's open to the crew environment. We have 2 of these and 6 plants each. So you can imagine we're not making a huge feast, but it's enough for a nice serving of lettuce.
Salad? Yeah. How excited are the astronauts that they can now have salad and not just space food?
They're very grateful. They can have salad. We've grown peppers as well. And they can even have flowers because we've grown zinnia on space.
Now, there is a knack to getting these seeds to sprout in space.
The way you grow plants on the International Space Station is using this, which is a plant pillow. So this is the wick that sucks the moisture up. You plug your water source into here and you fill the bottom with soil. And then you get your tiny seeds, which stay in these polymer wrappers so they don't zip off and you lose them around the ISS. And you pop it in here, and 28 days later, get yourself a lettuce.
Aside from the obvious benefits of creating a renewable food source, there are all sorts of other advantages to growing plants in space.
Gardening is very therapeutic. It's something that the astronauts would say, hey, let me take care of something green. It makes them happy. Plants produce, oxygen, and they recycle waste, they recycle water. All this fundamental stuff together will make them a very important organism to take with us.
When we're living on the moon and when we're living on Mars, what type of plants will we be eating?
We would like to have, things like nuts and citrus, but again, there's still so much we don't know about how those plants adapt to the environment.
The current goal is to use hydroponic systems which rely on water-based nutrient solutions instead of soil, which is heavy and expensive to transport. But in 2022, scientists showed that plants can grow in lunar soil, regolith.
Which kind of brings us full circle in a way, doesn't it? If we want to live on new worlds, we need to use the resources that they provide us, instead of taking more from our home planet. This has been a fascinating trip to NASA, a place which will one day help us put builders, miners, and even farmers on the moon.